You've got a weird relationship with technology. You know that, right?
Mr. Chris White, I have just finished an essay on journalism. And do you know what journalism is supposed to be?
What's that?
It's supposed to be Watch Dogs. Chris White, you have been playing Watch Dogs 2.
I have.
And I suppose the question remains is, have they nailed it? Is it better than the first one? Has it got the Assassin's Creed syndrome?
Right, not only is it better than the first one, which probably is not going to surprise too many people that weren't a fan, it completely kind of, and I don't want to say this lightly because I don't tend to say things like this if I don't mean them, but for me it's probably the best open world game that I have played.
Whoa, the bold words, bold claims.
Now I'm a massive fan of GTA 5 as well. Now, for the world itself, it is just absolutely incredible, and the amount of kind of effort that has gone into creating this completely unique place. Every single person that you bump into has just got their own personality. They're doing something completely different to the last person, and you're talking about a massive map, like pretty much the whole of San Francisco and like Silicon Valley, Oakland, just everywhere. You bump into something, and I mean, I was talking to Adam about this random encounter that I had, and it had nothing to do with the mission or anything to do with the plot, but it took about just half an hour for it all to unravel, and it was just insane how great it was, and it just through chance of bumping into someone, scanning someone, and finding a whole story about them. It's insane. So the kind of the world itself and it's beautifully designed. The kind of the Golden Gate Bridge is just stunning, and when you drive across that, it's got this big sense of grandeur. And Silicon Valley, there's a lot of kind of, without spoiling it, references to big technological companies and stuff like that. It's just expertly designed, and it's it doesn't feel like an Ubisoft game, like
no towers,
the typical. No, there's nothing like that. There's no Far Cry bits. It's not an overwhelming map. There's not absolutely loads to do. There is. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty to do, but it all has a purpose.
It's not like an Assassin's Creed checklist.
No. I mean, it all has a purpose, and I suppose the story itself, without mentioning any of it, because that would be unfair. The missions are expertly crafted. There's some fantastic missions. They all revolve around the hacking. That's a massive part of it. But it's just expertly designed, and all the missions feel completely different to one another.
That's interesting, because I was going to say, so I'd say that open world games have been quite disappointing this year after the highs of Metal Gear Solid 5 and The Witcher 3, the best game ever, hand on heart.
Yeah.
Last year, the open worlds that have come out this year, so Mafia 3 is the only one that really sticks to mind, jumps out at me. To me, Mafia 3, and I wrote about this on the site, go and check it out, I think it's pretty fucking good, is that the world just felt like there was no interactivity to it, there was nothing to it, and another big part of Mafia that really annoyed me was the mission structure, and you mentioned the missions then.
Yeah.
So, you said that they were designed, so are they literally set pieces, shall we say? Are the missions all different, doing different stuff, rather than in Mafia where the main bulk of missions was go here, shoot them, shoot that, etc, etc, fuck off?
So you've got a kind of a set main missions. You've got main missions which each one's kind of split into segments. So you'll spend, like, let's say mission 5 has 5 parts to it. Each part you'll end up doing something different. Now, some of these sections might have you drive from one place to another, but it doesn't feel like you're doing a lot of driving in this game. It's not like filler. Nothing feels like it's filler. It all feels like it plays a role. So the missions, they as I said earlier, they all involve kind of hacking, but the way that they do that is incredible, and you can kind of, like, also Adam said, which he made a good point about it feeling very Metal Gear Solid 5, where you've got a kind of objective, but the way you go about it, you can kind of do it how you want, if you know what I mean. So the hacking, like for example, you can go into somewhere, you can infiltrate it using stealth. You can hack the cameras, find the exits. You can use your drones, that kind of thing, or you can go in with a gun and just blow the shit out of everything, which isn't very smart, but you can do that. But yeah, the missions are excellent, and there's a lot of side missions. There's online missions and multiplayer missions, which are okay. There's a few teething problems, but that's been acknowledged. So
do they still have the missions where someone comes into you, invade your game, then you have to like hide from them or have to find them? Is that split?
Yeah.
See, I really like that from the original Watch Dogs.
I invaded another games journalist, which was amazing.
Oh yeah. I remember in the first game I did it where someone was invading me. I saw him, and I think I dived out my car or something, or like I did something to distract him, and I was under like a bridge, and so there's massive columns, and he came up to me.
Yeah.
And he went one way around the column, and then I like followed him around the other way.
Yeah.
And I managed to evade him. So yeah, I really like that. It's a really cool, innovative online play. I'm glad that's my stuff to survive.
Yeah, they happen a fair bit to me. I've had a couple. There's one where I was on this ocean beach, and it's beautiful, and there's these dogs on the beach, so you're just petting these dogs, and then that notice comes on, and I turn around, and you press your R3 button in to kind of like your detective mode in Batman.
Yep.
That kind of happens, and you can anyone in purple. It could be anyone in purple, and I saw this one guy leg it, and I knew it was him. So I hadn't even started to chase him, and he ran into the front of a car. And knocked him over. I just ran up to him and just shot him in the head and stopped it. But yeah, but there's loads of them. There's all sorts. They're just, it's a really well put together game.
Yeah. Well, shall we talk about this world? Because I played it for 2 hours at a preview, and I think I wrote it's probably the most engrossing open world I've ever been in. I think the big reason for that for me was the emojis. The new emojis you can do. It lets you interact with the world, and the story I always tell, which really did sell me on Watch Dogs in my preview, was I went into a restaurant just to see what they did. I went in, I had a drink of coffee or whatever, and then I heard an accordion playing from the back. Went through to the back, there was a guy playing it there, and I used my emojis to start dancing, and as I started dancing, the people in the restaurant started clapping and cheering and stuff, and I was like, wow, that is amazing. To be able to interact with a world without shooting it, it's just something good. It anchors you in that world, it makes it feel tactile. And I think, as you say, with all the ways you can hack people and all the little stories and the conversations you hear, it's just such an alive world.
I mean, yeah, completely, and like to kind of touch on the hacking, because that is a big part of Watch Dogs.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of ways you can do this. So I'll go over a few now, kind of the big ones. There's ones where you're walking down the street or you just stood still, whatever. You can hack into a car. You can make them move without anyone driving them. So there's someone dicking about. You can kind of move the car forward and run them down, run them back, just run them over, piss them off. If there's some hipsters showing off their car, you can just make it drive into a wall, that kind of thing. Obviously, you can use it in mission structures as well. But then there's other little like tweaks to them, like you've got a drone, which is obviously one that you can use in flight, like you kind of copter, which you can go and fly that into a kind of mission zone and kind of scope it out. Bit like Quiet in Metal Gear. So you just take it in and you'll be able to see any guards that are hanging around or any security systems or the kind of laptop that you need to hack. There's your like kind of little motorized car thing which you can drive through vents and take into buildings and sneak up on people, that kind of thing, and that can then drive into somewhere and hack things for you without you ever having to step foot in a building. So that's really useful, especially like a bit later on. But on top of that, there's other loads of little things that you can upgrade. There's obviously an upgrade system, which is brilliant, which you can become addicted to kind of getting the research points and upgrading certain things, because there's quite a lot to do in that sense. So pretty much on the whole, it's a great game. There's just currently a big issue with the frame rate at the moment, and it's hopefully being patched for launch. But it kind of jerks a lot, and it has had an impact on me playing, which is a bit of a shame. I've not suffered a lot, but I'm talking this frame rate is continuous until you kind of turn off your PlayStation and turn it back on. So I don't doubt for 1 second that'll be fixed, but at the moment it is kind of it has kind of spoilt a few moments, but you know what? On the whole, it's just one of the best games of the year.
Yeah,
it's one of the it's the best for me, the best open world I've played.
I can't think of anything better from what I played at the preview. I can't think of anything an open world that I enjoyed more than the 2 hours I played in Watch Dogs already. So let's say something. And a lot of criticism that came the original Watch Dogs way, because I didn't mind it as much as everyone criticised it. I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was amazing or anything, and I think I literally, as I played, I was like, well, the second one's going to be great, and it so proves, because Murph was right. But they got a lot of criticism for the tone of it being so fucking dour, depressing, and just fucking bleak. But it seems, I know they've really upped the ante on the happiness and the fucking, just a bit more lightheartedness in this game, and especially with the characters and whatnot as well. So how, in the span of the whole game, how is the tone and the characters and whatnot in the game?
Yeah, no, you're completely spot on. There's the problem with the first Watch Dogs, it's very bleak, and it doesn't help that Aidan Pierce was quite a dull bastard. He had nothing to him. You didn't really feel for him.
He had a coat and that was it.
Yeah, and you didn't care about his plight. He was just...
It was his fault, stupid cunt.
Generic protagonist. But you're completely right, it was his fault. The characters in this, there's you control Marcus, this guy called Marcus, and he's a nerd, and they're all kind of nerds, and they're part of this hacking group, but they're all decent human beings, and they're essentially like the Robin Hood of the digital age. A lot of the missions you rob from the kind of the criminals and give back to the people that deserve it. That's what they're doing. They want to try and save the world through kind of technology, but there is a lightheartedness to it, and you see that a lot in the open world and the things you can do, but also in the story and the way these characters are. They're very funny, and there's some amusing kind of discussions that they have between themselves about just really nerdy things like comic books and Star Wars and video games and all sorts of stuff. They're normal kids that just want to do good, but the tone is completely different. There are obviously more serious moments because it isn't a comedy, but they don't take themselves completely seriously, and it's just nice to see, and it just adds to the whole game.
Well, is there anything else on Watch Dogs that you need to tell us? Because I imagine there's quite a lot to delve into in this game. But obviously, a lot of it is kind of don't spoil it for everyone, do we? I think the best thing I can say is if you like what you've heard, you'd be able to just play it and make your own stories up. We've shared a few about things that have happened to me that haven't happened to others. It's just a game that I've not seen this for a long time, where you make your own stories up outside of the missions, and that for me is one of the draws of any game, is the longevity through creation of your own time with it, and the stories that they make. So just go and play it if you love open worlds and you fancy a refreshing open world game, not one that sticks to the confines of typical structures. Just go and play Watch Dogs 2 because it is a fun, great game. So if you want to learn even more about Watch Dogs 2, you can go over to godisgeek.com to read Chris's review, and if you want, go and read my preview. Might be out of date, but I still make some sick points. And of course, you're already here on youtube.com/godisgeek, so you can stay here, press that little subscribe button, and you can watch all sorts of video coverage on the old video games. Pardon moi. Elsewhere, you can follow us on Twitter at godisgeek. You can follow me on Twitter at Mabroski, and you can follow Chris on Twitter at FirstAvenger83. And if there's nothing else to say, Chris, it's just time to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hello, did you enjoy that video? I did. But if you really enjoyed it, click subscribe over here. Just serious somewhere there, and you will never miss a video. Just down here, if you really liked us, you can donate to our Patreon, $1 or £1 a month, and seriously, it helps us make stuff like this. This very camera recording this, that pays for it. Also, do you know what? Actually, I'm a bit big, aren't I? I need to be smaller.
Right, now over here, there's a video you can watch. If you click the playlist over there, you can watch that. There's loads of reviews and stuff. Seriously, it's just loads of content everywhere. It's just content, man. Content!